Now we go a little bit to deep water. I like that. More into the ecosystem, more into the marine life, more into the economics of changing the revolution of what's happening right now. I have that kind of an AI and fintech idea about the whole purpose, but yet again, it's not me who's gonna talk. It's always the speakers and you guys. So we're gonna invite right now from Marina Chain, the Chief Operations Officer, Mr. John G. And he's gonna talk about the whole data ecosystems on blockchain. Mr. John.
Hi, yes, I'm John from Marina Chain, and I hope everyone's having a good day today, the second day at the Expo. Learning lots of interesting stuff myself, actually. So today I'm here to talk to you about decentralized data marketplaces. So I believe, like many of us here actually got exposed to the blockchain and crypto world looking to make big profits, right? Like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other altcoins have gone up exponentially in price, and so I think some of us here have been sitting on big gains ever since you guys first got invested over a few years ago. So I'm here to talk about what else is actually growing exponentially and what could be the next big thing in the blockchain ecosystem. So beyond Bitcoin and Ethereum and other coins, we are looking into something else that's really exploding right now, and that's global data creation. So if you look at this chart here, the total amount of data generated by the world today is growing at an increasing rate. And by the way, this is in terabytes, as it is in billions of terabytes, not just terabytes themselves. And this is actually a rate of 30% per year. Now, some of you who have tried out yield farming your coins in the crypto space know that 30% APY is actually nothing to laugh at. So on top of that, the value of the data themselves, as you accrue them in an ecosystem, doesn't grow linearly, but it grows exponentially, because as you collect the data, as you collect them in like deeper in time, and you collect more data points from different types of sources, the amount of insights, actionable analytics, etc., you can get, even to the point of being able to train AI models, grows exponentially and grows as the amount of data comes in. But honestly, who actually owns the value that these data ecosystems have? Now, in the Web 2 world, data today is monopolized by the tech giants. Meta, Amazon, Google. We provide them our data, and they take 99% of the value. And they basically control the sovereignty and the ownership of all the data we provide to them. And data ownership actually gives two different rights. The first would be permission. Basically, who has access and who has the permission to give out this data and to dictate like who else can see this data that we're providing to big tech is the big tech companies themselves. We don't have a say in it. And secondly, what we get from them is just a pittance. It's just being able to use their services for free while they get billions in ad revenue and everything else that they're providing for their services. And this has propelled them to $1 trillion valuations. But with Web3 coming along, we now have this concept coming up that's called decentralized data. Now, we're already starting to see some of these. You guys may know some of these projects. There's Filecoin, Arweave. These are the ones that are anchoring the NFT world today. And then there are data marketplaces like the Ocean Protocol. There are artificial intelligence networks like SingularityNet. And finally, there are decentralized databases like Chromia, and what's up and coming is actually our own project, the Marina Net. So Marina Net is actually our first product for the Marina Chain ecosystem, and it's basically a decentralized data network for the maritime industry. And so that brings us to the question, like why we want to bring Web3 into the space. Now, firstly, as mentioned, it's better economics because we want data producers and all ecosystem participants to be able to monetize and gain value from the data instead of the platform owners and platform developers themselves. And next will be better operations. Now, this is a little more specific to our use case because we were working with regulators like the International Maritime Organization and port authorities to be able to help shipping companies better do their carbon emissions reporting for carbon credit in the future. And these regulators want data to be transparent. They want to be able to trust the platform such that they know this data isn't fudged or isn't edited to the data producer's benefit. And this is done on a blockchain where everything's immutable. And finally, and what I believe is to be the most important, as I mentioned earlier, is the governance and ownership. So we, as the platform creators, we don't want to have any say in who this data gets sold to, who this data gets passed to, and it all belongs to the data producers themselves. They are the ones who decide, which data points they want to show to other parties and which ones they want to keep for themselves. So here's a pretty quick overview of what our data ecosystem architecture looks like. So we have the data producers who are basically producing raw data from logs, from IoT sensors, etc., and putting it into the data marketplace, into a database. And then data analysts come in to take this raw data and value add it by structuring the data and providing analytics onto the system and bringing it back into the ecosystem as something that's of higher value. And finally, the data consumers are the ones that are paying our Marina chain or Amaranth tokens into the marketplace and basically retrieving that data to bring them more revenue and improve their business model through further accurate insights. So specifically in Marina Net's stakeholders, there would be shipping companies for producers, where we are actually working with them to start collecting things like fuel usage, carbon emissions, engine speed, maintenance logs, etc. And then we're actually bringing in third-party analysts to come in and structure this data to become something more useful and something more valuable that consumers can then use. Now, these consumers are like ship financing, people who finance ships like banks, insurers, etc. So that because they want to be able to use this operational data and make more informed decisions in terms of investments and which companies they want to back. Now, this is actually exceptionally pertinent now in 2022, in the next few years, because the industry is shifting more towards one that's more conscientious of what we call green financing. They're far more, they were far more aware of wanting to invest in green ships. And so this kind of data collection is actually helping shipping companies to raise capital they need, especially if they have taken the steps and necessary investments into green technologies. So, and so these are two other aspects of our tokenomics architecture that we are currently developing to make this decentralized data ecosystem thing work. The first would be the treasury, because this treasury actually manages the governance and the yield of the entire ecosystem. As data is transacted on a marketplace, for every piece of data that is sold, the marketplace collects a certain amount of royalty that accrues into the treasury. Now, this is used to pay out data producers for contributing the data into the ecosystem. And secondly, it also provides our token holders a stable ROI by staking their existing tokens into the treasury itself as liquidity. Now, another aspect of staking a token is that you actually get a representation of how much of a treasury you own, and that in turn represents how much of a say in the governance of the network you have. So this basically means that we're actually forming a DAO to govern future protocol upgrades, future protocol direction for the Marina chain ecosystem. So next up, we have the token reserves. Now, the reserves are actually used to disburse MRN in the early stage into a treasury. So this is to incentivize early investors and early partners that will produce their data and feed into the ecosystem. And these emissions halve every 5 years. And the rest of the tokens will actually be managed by the aforementioned DAO, because they can decide on what kind of capital they want to use, or how they want to use capital, whether it's for further injection into a dev team, which is us, or if they want to seed other third-party ecosystem projects they want to build onto the Marina chain and maritime ecosystem. And some other minor stuff could be things like bug bounties to further improve the resilience and the security of the network as a whole. So as it stands, right now we are working on the test net of the Marina net data marketplace. We are working with a few shipping companies around the region in Southeast Asia and some in Europe as well to start collecting data and processing that and building out the marketplace from scratch. We are currently raising our pre-sale round from now until June, where where early investors can come in if they really believe in the project and basically ride along with us. And our ICO will be occurring in Q3 or Q4 of 2022, and we will be listing our tokens on exchange in next year, 2023. So yeah, we're actually looking around for people who are interested to support us in the project, whether it's in capital or partnerships. And our booth is actually at booth 16 in the Expo Convention Hall. So feel free to drop by or stop by and say hi after my talk later. And yeah, if you don't have time to come by, just remember you can follow us on Twitter. It's at Marina Chain, like our company name at Marina Chain, or marinachain.io for our website. So yeah, that actually brings me to the end of my presentation. So we do have a few minutes left. You can feel free to we're free to take any Q&A if anyone's interested to find out more about the project. Anyone? Yeah. Okay. Then in that case, yeah, feel free to drop by and say hi if you're interested in finding out more about how you can be a part of this project and take part in the whitelist pre-sales. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah.